this is our March monthly thread talk on a Plyful, and today I have a very, very special guest. And here is Lena Fedotova. Is that how I say your last name, Lena?
Oh, almost correct. Fedotova. Just
Can you say it
Fedotova.
again, please?
Lena Fedotova.
Lena Fedotova.
Yes, that's correct.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining us. I know that you're a little bit apprehensive about the whole being live and speaking English in public, but I really, really appreciate your presence here. And I have to say that I am a huge fan of your work. I think a lot of the times when I see crochet garments or crochet pieces, I always know how to make that, or like I have an idea, like, oh, I'm pretty sure I can figure out how to make it. But with your stuff, I honestly have no idea, Lena. Like you always come up with really cool ways of like fixing stitches and creating textures. And I'm always just so impressed. So thank you so much. It's like a real
Thank
honor
you.
to have you.
For me, it's always like to discover something new to myself. Like creating some garment or a shawl is always a puzzle to me as well.
Oh, I just love that. That's really, really cool. So we have some people saying hello. We have someone from Texas and from Maryland. Thank you guys for connecting. I think it's quite early in the States, so thank you. Renee says, so excited. I love reading your emails, Sienna. Love your patterns.
Thank you.
You know, darling, Renee was in our hangout last month and she was wearing one of your garments. Renee, do you think you can tell me the name of it? It was like a round yoke with like eyelet, peachy.
Peach, one of my favorite.
Oh, and it looked so good on her. And it had like this variegated yarn, but because of all the texture that you have, it just looked so, so good. So I was like, I recognize that. Then we have Anna Maria. Hello from Romania. Love your pattern, Sienna. All right, so we're going to get started with some of the questions I prepared. Tell me everything about your life, okay? I literally want to know everything.
Originally, I'm from Ukraine, but I stayed in Montenegro for many years.
How long ago did you move?
I think more than 10 years ago, something like
Oh, right.
12 or so. I live in a very small village on the coast, and we don't have much there, just houses and fishing boats, and that's it. That's why I spent most of my time designing.
I love that. I'm a countryside person. I like
Yeah.
cities, but only a little bit. So we have someone else saying, hello from Portugal. I love your patterns. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. I mean, not thank you for commenting. So Liana, you live in a very small town. Do you do anything fun other than crochet? Do you have any other hobbies?
Uh, Actually, not. I spent most of my time like crocheting, but I watch anime and play mobile games.
What kind of game, sorry?
Like PvP, zombies, shooting, something like that.
Okay, nice. That's really cool. And do you do anything else as a job, or is designing your main
No,
job?
this is my only job
How many years?
for 10 years. As soon as I found
Wow.
out that there is such a job like designer, I quit my job and started doing this.
I absolutely love that. I think it's really cool that nowadays this is an option. Like when I started crocheting, I don't think I had an idea that you could do this for a living, you know, and it's so great. We get to do things that we love. Cool. And so tell us about your crochet journey then. Who taught you to crochet and how did you
Self-taught
get
how to
started?
crochet. I self-taught. And I did
Really?
so many things wrong, actually.
Like what?
For example, I've been working the single crochet stitch wrong for several years until I noticed the difference.
How did you notice the difference?
Just visually, I saw the difference. I was inserting my hook into direction from back to front. Somehow I find it more natural to me. And that was okay, but this makes the stitch looks inverted, like its front side, its right side is facing to the other people, not to you.
It's really fun. I kind of want to try it now. That's a really good. I'm like, I wonder what you can
Because,
do with them.
but I think actually all those mistakes I made somehow impacted on my design style because I have so much freedom in doing some strange things, and this helps me to create some stitch patterns.
I love that. I love that idea, freedom to do strange things. I feel like sometimes we believe that there's rules when it comes to hobbies, especially a craft like this. It's like there's a right way and a wrong way of doing things, and people are scared to just play with it, you know, but you have the freedom to do
That's what I
crazy
do.
things.
I
I love
play.
it. Yeah, I play. I love that. It's so funny that you mentioned about the stitch because I learned to knit at the same time as I learned to crochet about 15 years ago. And when I started designing, I designed a knitted garment. And it was one of my testers that noticed that my purl stitches were the wrong way around. And I had no idea. I've been knitting for years and years and years. And I was like, why does it look different? I was like, oh my God, I've been doing it wrong this whole time. But like you said, you know, it gives you freedom to do crazy things. I love that. And so when did you start seeing crochet as a business then? Were you making your own things? Did you ever sell pieces or how did it grow?
I always considered crocheting as a hobby because I
Okay.
have no idea that there is such a job as designer. And maybe 10 years later, I found out Ravelry and all this huge
See,
world of designing patterns and community, and just immediately canceled my job and started doing this.
that's really cool. So how long ago did you start crocheting in general?
20 years for 20 years and design for
Okay.
10 years.
For 10 years. That's so
Yeah.
cool. I love it that you were just like, this is what I want to do, and here we go. That's really cool. And what's your favorite part of your job?
Um, I actually love them all quite equally, but what I do not like is probably the thing that I have to do something which I like in general, but I don't want to do it right now. But I have to do it because this is my job. For example, I have to do some grading, which I am quite fond of, but I don't want to do it now. But I have to.
Okay, so that's your
You
least favorite
cannot,
part,
yes,
having,
you cannot just skip something because you don't want to do it, but you have to.
yeah. So what kind of design? I feel like I'm skipping to another question, but I don't care. So what kind of design process do you have? Are you the kind of person that plays a lot with yarn and just improvises, or do you do a lot of the grading and the maths first? Or
Never,
how do you?
never, never, never. I never do some grading, math, and pattern writing before I finished my sample. So that's the rule. I have to finish my sample first, and then I do the rest of the job. Because the original
Okay,
idea may change quite drastically as you go. So this is you need to
it's
finish it
true.
to see it real.
So do you ever figure out the maths just for your garment?
Yes,
And then
for the idea in general.
I see.
And actually, my first sample is the draft sample. I usually make two samples. The first one, I don't care how does it fit me like nicely or not, or maybe it's the wrong size. This is not important. But the second one is the final one,
It's
the
the
sample
final
which I
one.
show. Yeah.
That's so cool. I think it's really cool how you put so much effort into one design. Like you want the design to be just right, right?
Yeah.
What kind of design elements do you think you use to make garments fit better? Like, are there
Uh,
things that you
the
find important for better fit?
Yes, yes, I love well-fitted garments. So what is the most important for me is the higher back neck. That's the
Okay.
most important thing, because it makes if it is not enough, it makes your like front neck looks like this. So you need to have some extra space there at the back. Beautiful shoulder lines. I like to do the shoulder decreases and those lines. Underarm bridges here. So under the arm, you need to have some extra space to make the sweater and the sleeves and the body fit you like nicely.
Yeah. Those are also important. And I feel like a lot of people skip them, you know, because we
No,
don't
but
know that we
they
need
are
them.
they are so technically simple, so there is no need to skip them.
Yeah, I completely agree. But I also love how you manage to incorporate them in your designs. Like I've noticed a lot of the times when you have a shoulder seam and you have your decreases going on and you manage to like join cables so that they kind of form cool patterns along it and stuff like that. And like that's like beyond just, oh, I just thought about it. Like you really put lots of effort into it, right?
Because this is also kind of a puzzle you need to solve. And this is interesting, really interesting to me, because when you have the stitch pattern, you also have to find out how to make increases, decreases, how to make it work in the round, how to create beautiful shoulder lines, for example, or something like that. And you start playing with it and find the solution. So, and as soon as you find it, this is such a wow effect, and it makes me really happy.
I can tell it does. I feel like your face
So
just like lit up with
this is
excitement.
I don't feel it like a complex part of my job. This is one of my most interesting parts.
That's so cool. I can tell that you really put a lot of effort into it. And I think it's sometimes when people say like, "Oh, why do you charge money for your patterns?" It's like it's more than just instructions. Like it looks like you put a lot of effort into making not just beautiful garments, but well
Because
fitted.
we see just finish it, we see just the result. We don't see that work behind the scenes actually, and it is very interesting sometimes. And I like to talk about it in my newsletters or post on Instagram, like showing what's behind, not to just to let the people know not how tough the designer work is, but how interesting it can be.
Yeah, complex, right? There's more to it than just making a garment. It has loads of steps, and I think that's super cool. So, how many swatches do you think you do for a garment?
Um, no, that's the separate process. I can go straight
Okay.
into design, like without swatching at all. But before that, I can swatch in a week, for example, just exploring that new stitch pattern I created, for example, and just swatching. And I can use like several skeins of yarn just for swatching. But after that, I can go straight into design without doing any swatch for it, just for that
Yeah.
design, exactly.
Yeah. So it's just you playing with stitches and playing with yarn, and then once you have a clear idea, you just go for it.
Yeah.
I love that. Do you ever draw the design before you go, or is it more of an image in your head?
I wish I could. I cannot draw at all. But I use Pinterest actually. I find the pictures of the shawls or sweaters which like have something in common with my vision. Just to imagine it better, to see the shape, to see the neckline shape, for example, the length, the fit, the ease of
Uh-huh.
everything. This helps.
That's that's really cool. I like that. I think I'm kind of similar too. I can't draw an idea, but if I have it in my head, it's like you kind of work from that image in your head. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I noticed on your posts as well that you use Photoshop quite a bit to like show different colors and things like that. Do you think technology is like a big part of your design process, or is
This
that
is
just like you
this is
playing?
also quite a playful time for me because you cannot do like everything you imagine in your mind, but the Photoshop can help you to, for example, we change colors, and this is so simple,
Mhm.
and that's amazing.
I mean, you say it's simple, but I've tried doing things like that and I have such a hard time. And I know how much effort it must go into it because I've seen some of your posts when you have some of your garments and like 10 different color possibilities. And it's such a good idea because it gives lots of ideas to other people. But to me, it just sounds like so difficult to do.
Uh, if you know how to do this, actually every job has some like key elements or some guide. If you follow the steps, it becomes so quick and easy. And the speaking about like stitch pattern creating, because first of all I'm the stitch pattern creator, and then I'm a designer, and everyone can do this. There is nothing too complex in it about it.
I love that.
So
That's really cool. Maybe I
I
should do
have
it.
to probably share my Photoshop process because this is also something that everyone can repeat.
You should. You should. I started I actually bought myself an iPad I think it was last year, so I could draw my garments for the schematics. And I don't draw them from scratch, but I'll take a picture of them and then I'll draw the shapes and I'll be able to like do the colors and stuff. And I find that very fun and kind of therapeutic. So I spend like 3 hours sometimes on a drawing, and it's like, it's so dumb because I could use literally anything else. I'm just like, but it looks so pretty, you know?
I can't stop changing colors in Photoshop. It's the same because this is so relaxing.
I love that. I think that's really cool. I forgot to ask you, Lena, like what kind of day do you have? Like, how is your day? Do you wake up early? Are you a morning person? Are you like super work focused? Are you more of a relaxed kind of go with the flow kind of person? How's your day?
I have a rule that I should spend 2 hours in my morning, every morning, doing some pattern writing. So, and as soon as the
Okay.
pattern writing using my laptop is finished, I can do whatever I want, like swatching, crocheting, photographing, but that's the rule, 2 hours writing.
That's really good. That's a very good rule. I don't have that rule.
Actually, any computer work, like I can draw charts or whatever.
Yeah, that's nice. I'm a bit jealous. I interviewed Courtney 2 months ago, Courtney Clark from Tinderbox, and we were talking a lot about how life with children is very different than life without children. And she's like you know, like she has her rules, like she does computer work in the morning and then has crochet time and then social media time. And I'm so jealous because I have children and I have no time. Okay. Let me ask you one more question. Oh, so yeah. So in your career, you've been crocheting for about 10 years. Do you think you can tell us what's the biggest, like the highest point and the lowest point of your career? So was there a point where you're like, what am I doing? This is not working. This is crazy. And then a moment where like, oh my God, this is the best job ever.
The lowest low is probably the time when I had not enough money for living, and that was my only job. So I had those tough thoughts if I should start in doing something else, something like that. So that was the lowest lows periods. But the highest high is probably the very sentimental one, the very first accepted yarn submission request. I was a nameless
Yeah?
designer with just probably a couple of very simple patterns in my portfolio, and I decided to ask. And Malabrigo said yes. And the idea that someone trusts you and like was very inspiring for me.
That's so cool. I totally get that because I remember my first yarn support request that agreed and I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah, that's it. And one of the
That
patterns I made out of this yarn is still one of my best-selling patterns.
that's so cool. I do now that you mentioned Malabrigo, is that like your favorite brand? Because I see you use it a lot, right?
Yes, this is one of my favorite yarns, and I use it for more than 10 years, and I'm very familiar with it. It is like so good for crocheting. Maybe it is very good for my patterns or for my style of crocheting, so it is so easy to use it. That's why.
That's good. Yeah, I think it's cool to have like these brands that you know their yarn very well, you know the material, you know how it will react to
Sometimes
stitches.
sometimes I don't even need to swatch something because I know my gauge and like what hook I should use. This simplifies the process a lot.
Oh, so much, right? Have you ever had the case that sorry, I'm in my motorhome right now and it's very windy outside and the whole thing is moving. It's so scary. But I'm not going anywhere, I hope. Anyway, have you ever had the thing happen to you where you get a new yarn and you're excited to try it and you had an idea for that yarn and the yarn just doesn't work?
Yes, quite often.
Isn't it
Sometimes,
frustrating?
yes, this is so frustrating, and this makes the pattern process making just so long because you order some yarn, wait for 2 weeks until it arrives, and then you try it and realize that you need probably another color or something like it doesn't work at all.
I know, right? Or it's too scratchy or too thick or, it just doesn't drape enough. And oh, it's so frustrating. So I get it having your brands. Renee's asking, which is your favorite pattern? I imagine from the ones you've designed.
My favorite pattern is the pattern I'm working at the moment, like the current one. This I'm always so excited about the pattern I'm working on. As soon as it is ready, just it's okay, but the next one is my favorite.
You have your new favorite. I love that. That's really cool. Okay, tell us about Skyway then. Tell us about the inspiration behind it, about the yarn. Tell us about it.
I started working on Skyway 3 years ago, I guess, and the original idea changed a lot. That's why I never do grading or pattern writing like ahead of time. So at first, I envisioned this top as the fully cable top, like the cables all over the body and the back, like everywhere. But as soon as I made my first sample, like the front detail, the Skyway starts from the center and you work sideways to the sides. So, but as soon as I finish that front panel and continue going to the shoulder decreases, I just realized that those cables do not fit for decreasing. I need to change them a lot to make them to decrease. So I have to think about the other ways to use maybe some other stitch pattern at the sides. And I reworked my sample quite a lot, like maybe 2 times,
Wow.
until I decided to make it simpler. And I need to cut out unnecessary things, details. So I left the front cable, just a row of eyelets, and the remaining is the ribbon bridges, which are so easy to decrease and to create like smooth those armhole lines.
Yeah, it's so pretty. I think the cables at the front, like it's been done, but for a reason, because it's so pretty, and
Yes,
these kinds of cables.
it draws your attention. It's just like the key element of the design, and it doesn't need
Definitely.
anything else.
No, I honestly don't think so. And I think that these kinds of cables that are like your style, because I haven't seen anyone else do cables like you do them. And they're just so, I don't know, they're so you. Like I see them and I think of you. And what would you say about the yarn? I put on the recommendations like suggestions for the yarn. I also suggested some cotton or something like that. What do you think about that?
I design my patterns to make them work like using any yarn. You can use any yarn, thinner, thicker, maybe merino wool or a cotton one or whatever. Just it would work in any yarn.
Good. That's really, really cool. And I remember a few weeks ago, maybe you did a post about using speckled yarn and you working it on the back loop because you create better texture or something like that. Do you remember that?
Yes, not the texture. It just helps you to use the like those complex color yarn. As soon as you work into the back loop, for example, to create those ribbing ridges, this helps to avoid those busy color like you can get using any other crocheting stitch. That's why I'm sorry. The way the yarn is colored is good for knitting stitches, but not for the crocheting stitches because each crochet stitch use quite more yarn than the knitting stitch.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
And this
I
this this
never
creates this busy, messy look. So to avoid this, you can work into the back loop, and this helps to make the color more visible and beautiful.
I think that's so clever. I would never have thought of it. And I never use variegated yarn like that because like you said, it feels messy. It just doesn't feel crisp.
There are different ways to make the multicolored yarn to look beautiful. Not every stitch, but there are some stitches which are good for this.
Okay. Have you got any other tips that you use when it comes to using color?
Actually, any of my latest patterns are good for this yarn because I use it a lot.
Okay.
Malabrigo has a lot of
Yeah,
quite difficult colors to use, but I like to use them.
that's good. So would you say working like creating ridges and creating intense texture?
I use a lot of ridges. This is one of my favorite patterns. So the cables actually are the ribbing ridges, but they are just waved and swirl and create this cable look. So but they are ridges as well.
I never use variegated yarn because I'm just too scared of it. But I love the way you use it, and now I want to use it. So maybe I'll give it a go. So, Lena, tell us, is there anything else going on in your life? Are you working on any other patents at the moment? Any future exciting news that you wanted to share with us? Anything going on?
I don't think I'm allowed to talk about this, but like in general, yes, there should be the paper book and some workshops on cables, and my self-published patterns, of course.
Are you writing a book? That's
Yeah, just
exciting.
just starting.
Just starting. Oh, how are you feeling? Are you feeling stressed out? Do you have a long timeline for the book?
Oh no, it is always short. I never heard about the long like deadlines. They are always not enough.
Really? Because I when I wrote my book, I think it was 6 months to create and write the patterns and make all of the garments. And it was like 14 garments. It was very, very stressful. And I was pregnant at the time and I had a child, and it was just like it was worth it. I really enjoyed the process and I really enjoy the fact that now I can say I wrote a book. But oh my God, was it a lot of work? Did you give yourself extra time or are you like on a very strict deadline?
The second one, I guess.
Yeah? And how are you feeling emotionally? I'm so excited.
Um, that's the job. I actually don't think about my feeling at the moment I'm working, so I have to do the things done and I make this real. So later on, when the job is finished, I can be feel, oh, I'm stressed. I don't want this experience once again, but that's later. Once I worked on the project which required me to finish 3 patterns a month, and 2 of them were garments. So like I have to
Okay.
complete 6 patterns, and like that was crazy. I that was actually the work I usually do in a half a year or even longer. But I had just 2 months to complete this.
That's crazy. But like you said, right? That's the job. And like as long as you get yourself in that mindset, then, it prepares you
I'm
for it,
just
doesn't
I'm
it?
just sorry that I had no time to rework something. When you had such a tight deadline, you don't have a chance for mistakes or to fix something. For example, there are some projects I brought to Italy with me, which are maybe 5 years long. I stopped working on them because I simply had no idea how to proceed. I want to like to put them on the shelf to decide later or to wait for that brilliant idea. But you don't have to. You cannot do this when you work with the magazines or with the publishers. You have to do.
Yeah. Do you work with magazines a lot?
In the past, yes, yes, that
Why
was
did you
like.
stop? Was it the
Uh,
deadlines that were hard?
that was I just wanted that experience in my life. So I worked for 2 years maybe or even longer with the magazines, but then like that's all.
Yeah, it feels really cool to have like a published pattern, but it is a lot of work, isn't it? And not
I
very good
I
pay.
just I just wanted to have less stress in my working life. And I do really love to rework my ideas to make them better, to fix all the mistakes which I see, to see it. For example, I see some flaws. I want to change the yarn or I want to change the shape, and it requires time. And you can do this when you work with magazines.
That's true. That is true. Well, I admire you so much. I not only your ability with crochet, but like your work ethic and the fact that you like put so much effort into things. Like, yeah, props to you, my love. Okay, let's let's close off a little bit with a this or that. So I'm going to give you two options and you get to choose your favorite one, okay? So
Okay.
let's start with a fingering weight or worsted weight yarn.
Should I choose both of them? I do
No, you
really
can't
love
do that.
to switch. I have the worsted weight yarn project on my hook right now and the fingering as well.
Really? No favorites at all?
I just noticed that when you use some certain weight of yarn for a long time, you probably will have difficulties with when you switch to another weight yarn. So you need to switch them to have more practice to get beautiful stitches and
That's true. It also gets a little bit boring, like just a tiny bit to always work kind of the same at the same rate. So like last month I had a pattern that was made with bulky weight yarn and I had never worked with bulky weight yarn and I never said I said I would never do it, but then I really enjoyed it. You know, so it was a
yes,
nice like
I had the same
cleanser.
feelings.
Good. It makes me feel better. Okay, next one. And I think I know the answer, but color work or lace?
Color. I
Yeah?
was so in love with the lace in the past, but right now I like more texture and color.
Okay. Like, would you say you prefer color when it comes to lines and stripes, or do you have a specific color work technique that you like to use?
Um, I can't actually answer this question because I always try some new things. So I don't have some certain technique for the color work, but I'm exploring some new ways to use color in crocheting. Like right now, I can show you at the moment because my sample is in another room, but that's something interesting, something new and
Okay.
interesting. Yeah.
That's cool. I can't wait to see what you're doing with color because I think you and color would just go very well
I'm
together.
so excited about it because it allows so many possibilities, like just changing one thing, like in a one stitch, but it creates completely different look.
Okay, I can't wait to see it. All right, next question. When you crochet, do you watch TV? Do you listen to audiobooks? Are you a
I
silence kind of
watch,
person?
yes, I watch, but I listen to it, so I don't.
Okay. Are you watching anything good at the moment?
Uh, just anime.
Anime?
Yeah,
I love that. That's so cute. Okay, crafting indoors or outdoors?
indoors. I'm indoor person.
Yeah. Do you ever take your project with you when you go out, or do you prefer to wait
I
until you get home?
I always take it with me just in case I have possibility to work on it.
Yeah, me too. Okay, what kind of snack person are you? Are you a munchy person when you crochet? Do you have drinks? Or do you not?
Drink, drink. Yeah.
Okay, what's your favorite drink?
Oh, water. Just
Just
simple
water.
water. Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but me and my family are traveling through Europe. So we're in a motorhome and we have very limited space. And me and my husband watch TV on our living room, which is like two benches and a table in the middle. And I've dropped my glass of wine like 7 times in the last couple of months. It's so frustrating. It's like, why do I choose to drink wine when I'm crocheting? Because there's just no space. It's awful. So probably water is a better idea. All right. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
I'm a night person, which who tries to be a morning one.
I love that. Are you the kind that stays up all night finishing something, or are you very good at putting your stuff away and saying
Uh,
goodnight?
I quite often find myself saying that I will finish this tonight. Like I won't sleep. I want to get this done.
Fair enough. I
So,
respect that. I used to be that
but I
person.
had to remind myself that I should go to sleep because that's important. I don't want, but I have to.
That's so funny. I respect that. I used to be that person, and now I appreciate sleep too much. I'm like 10 o'clock, I'm off. Goodbye, things. I'm off to bed. All right. Ice cream or cake?
None of this. I just don't like sweet taste. Not really. Like I eat them, but not too often.
Are you more of a savory, snacky person? Salty
Yes,
stuff?
yes, salty
Yeah.
stuff is my stuff.
Okay. How about exercise, running or yoga?
No
Or neither?
running. No, that's the rule. My motto: no running in my life. So yoga. The life is
I
already
love
too fast. There is no need to add some extra fast things into it. Like slow down.
I need to stress out your body and your mind with running. I love that. I feel like runners would be like, oh, but it relaxes you. But it's like, nah.
My younger sister is a runner. So, but I'm an
Yeah,
opposite.
I love that. All right. Well, Lena, I've had such a good time talking to you. I love that you were so nervous about your English and you've done so well. You've been chatting away the whole time and it's been so nice.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
How are you feeling?
Still stressed.
Well, after this, go and grab yourself a big glass of water. Do not go running. Just have a sit down. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining, Lena. It's been very, very nice to meet you. And to everyone who came to the live and asked questions, thank you so, so very much for participating. We're gonna call it a short one today. We've had a great time. It was so nice getting to know you. Yeah, thank you guys so much for sticking around. Lena's pattern is gonna be with us for 6 months. Oh, no, a whole year, right?
Yes.
But yeah, anyway. So please grab your copy from plyful.com. And for those of you who are watching this and haven't joined Plyful, definitely join us at plyful.com. You can find Liana at Ravliki. Oh, I forgot to ask you,
Ravliki.
what's
No,
with
you said it. You
Ravliki?
said it right. Ravliki. Yeah, that's correct.
Ravliki, yeah.
Ravliki.
Where does it come from? I
Uh,
forgot to
this is
ask.
this is Ukrainian word which means snails.
Snails.
Yes. Remember, no running. Be slow.
I know that first. I think that's awesome. Okay, slow life, slow pace. That's great. And just play with yarn. I want to be you, honestly. This is so great. All right, guys. Well, stick around and yeah, check out Liana's work on what's your website, my love?
Cup of Stitches. .com.
Okay. And I'll put all of the information on the description. You can also find her on Instagram as Ravliki, and you can find Skyway, the Skyway top on plyful.com. Thank you so much for joining, everyone. I'll see you next
Thank
time.
you. Goodbye.